There we go. All right. Well, and then I'll do an official welcome. Hi, welcome. I'm sure we'll have a few more folks join us as we get going, but we want to get started so we can finish in a timely fashion and get everybody back to their families or whatever they have to do this evening at 8 p.m. So my name is Renee. I'm the district governor for District 7610 this year, and I am pleased and honored to have several people on this call that have been helping prepare me and to help build our team and help our clubs in the district. First and foremost is immediate past district governor Sheila Brennan, who is always around. She's never not helping, and I'm super grateful. She's been a mentor of mine. Of course, my right-hand man, Peter, the chief of staff of the district, is here. Thank you so much. And another mentor of mine, a past district governor who agreed to come back. I I feel like I might have talked him into it, but I'm really happy that he said yes. Jonathan Lucas, thank you for being our youth services chair this year. I'm very grateful for your experience, your wisdom, and most of all, your willingness to serve. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you and let you get started. And then I'll jump in if you need me. I'm right here.
Awesome. Thank you. And do I have the ability to share a slide deck? Guess I'll find out. Open it real quickly.
All right, you now have full access.
So if I can find it, oh, here it is. Okay. Sharing now. So I have a very simple slide deck that I'll share with you folks, and this can be sent out to folks as well afterward. So my name is Jonathan Lucas, and I am past district governor back in 2019, 2020. I'm one of the pandemic governors. So, started out the year normal Rotary year and ended it with something that we'd never seen before. I'm just glad to be back. Renee can, at the end of the year, will be whether she'll regret having me back or not. We'll figure that out as the year progresses. But glad to be back and involved a little bit and just getting into the Rotary spirit. And obviously the youth services program is one that I love, one that I was brought up in as a Rotary actor in college. So it's near and dear to my heart. And I think it's one of our district's really great signature pieces of work over the years. And we've had a long history of doing this and doing it well. Many the past district governors on this call can attest to this. When you go and do your district your district governor training, your international training, RI scares the daylights out of you about all of the possible scenarios that could go wrong when you have a youth services program, and sort of the liability piece, the legal liability, not so much the programmatic liability, but the legal liability for having a program like this. And many districts don't, especially the youth exchange part, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But a lot of districts limit their interactions with the youth and youth programs. But one thing I love about our district that we've taken a hit on, and I've always had this rich history of actually providing all the different kind of programs that you can have for youth, and it's been a real asset to our district and to just Rotary International in general. So we're in a little bit of a rebuilding year coming out of COVID now, and obviously when you're dealing with youth in school in a pandemic, things change quite rapidly and for extended period of time. And so everything that we had going, as far as the Interact clubs and the Rotaract clubs and some of the programming, had to be reestablished in the schools again. And one thing we'll talk about later is, really this year doing another great push with all the, as far as our marketing and communication to the schools to let them know what's available to young people. But we're really building some of this stuff back up. Some of it's we were able to maintain through just amazing committee chairs over the last several years, and the leadership of the district governors have kept it going. And of course, the clubs themselves have worked hard through the pandemic to keep it going. And so it's just been a great team effort. So what I'm going to do is have a simple slide deck. We'll go through it. Feel free to interrupt, ask questions anytime, and then we'll get out of the slide deck so I can see everybody's beautiful face again a little better, and we can do more Q&A and just general discussion. Uh-oh, I can't change slides. There we go. So first I want to talk about the goals of the Youth Service Committee, and that is to empower Rotarians, clubs, and our district in using the power of Rotary and the enthusiasm of the youth to create a hope in the world, right? This is a really youth to create hope in the world. It's really a beautiful thing. Specifically, we will maintain expertise in the district level to assist interested clubs in engagement with young people in our community and to be an example of hope to them and their families. And so that's the greatest thing that Rotary provides is hope. And through our programming, we're giving the opportunity for young people to be leaders, to feel empowered, to grow, and hopefully at the same time, we're creating a great pipeline of future Rotarians to keep this organization going strong. So we have a great group of people working on this initiative. I am the chair, again, past district governor, and I've been in Rotary in some capacity since 1998. So I feel like I've been doing all kinds of stuff for a long time. Our Interact chair is Dr. Angela Conti, and she is really working hard this year. And we have 20 plus clubs. And so we're really rich in Interact clubs, and it's really a credit to our Rotary clubs for getting these things started, because they're not easy to do, because you got to have a champion in the schools and maintain that relationship. But we've done a good job. We have a new program this year called Early Act, and this is not an RI sponsored program. This is a District 7610 sponsored program. So my hats off to Sheila and Renee for embracing this opportunity and to bring the Rotary mission into elementary schools and youth and middle schools for the youth. And right now we have one club established. We're in the process of establishing a second one. I'm actually beginning the process of maybe establishing a third one here in the Alexandria area. And it's a really great program. It's Rotary Light, and so kids are just understanding a little bit about peace and conflict resolution, a little bit about community service and being good to one another. We're not having huge programs, but really just bringing the Rotary experience to younger folks. And then we create this great connection to high school Interact clubs. So when they matriculate to high school, there's a place for them to go and continue using all the skills and knowledge they built through Early Act. And the person who's running that is Waverly Brown, and she's doing a really great job. Youth Protection Officer is Phil Ruscoli, and he's been doing this for quite a while. And this is like one of the most important positions we have, because this person ensures that the clubs are going through the proper training if they have a youth program, and that we are following the letter of the law and following the letter of RI when it comes to doing background checks, departing knowledge on these great Rotarians who are supporting the youth programs, and that we're making sure that these youth are as safe as possible when they're in our hands. And so we thank Philip for coming back another year. RILA, which is a program we'll talk about a little bit more in a minute, that is being sort of co-chaired. Valerie Bodwin has been somebody who's been doing this for quite a while, and we brought on Ben Haskemp, who is just a really energetic younger Rotarian who's just been really great, and he's helping with some of our programs this year and doing a great job. And he will be taking this over at the end of this year officially, but he's doing a lot of work right now as we speak. Then we have the whole youth exchange. So the youth exchange chair is Barry Gordon this year. We have our Essex representative. Essex is a conglomeration of districts that run the youth exchange program. It's a place to share ideas. It's a place to be updated on RI policies and procedures. And Matt Levitt is representative. Our inbound chair, so that's for exchange students coming into the United States and to our district, is Ann Storick. Our host family point of contact is Ruth Pearson. Our outbound chair is Susan McDougall. Our long-term chair is, our short-term chair is Sherry Ann Lockwood. And, this team is really working in unison together to really build this back out. Now, this is one of the programs that suffered, of course, under the pandemic. People weren't getting on planes, weren't going to other countries. We weren't sending people out. And so this year is a rebuilding year where we're just getting recertified ourselves or maintaining our certification. We've been certified, but making sure we have the most up-to-date process to do background checks and certify our club members. And we're working this year on having 2 outbound scholars in the fall, 2 inbound scholars in the spring, and then 5 short-term students in the mutual exchange program in the summer of 2024. And so by the time we get into that new Rotary year, we're doing this exchange program, and then we're hitting fall again a lot harder, hopefully growing this. Now, as somebody who was an ambassadorial scholar through Rotary, went and lived and studied in Russia, I know the impact this has. I was a young adult at the time, but I can't imagine if I were in high school and had the opportunity to go live in another country for a semester, learn about that culture, learn the language. What a great opportunity. And to come back and share that experience, and then, feel motivated to be a part of that Rotary family when I get older is just, it's an amazing thing. So we are looking forward to building this program back up. And then we have our youth contest chair. So this is, we have the essay contest, we have the speech contest, and these are very important to give the young kids the opportunity to come in and work on these sort of academic skills, right, and be able to learn to do public speaking, and also get supported by adults and building that self-confidence up. So it's really great. And then lastly, we have Past District Governor Sheila Brennan, who's helping with our youth summit this year, which is something that DG Renee and incoming Governor Amelia agreed to do. And I think it's really cool to really focus, because as a district, we always had some side sessions and things from time to time at our district conference, but never really focused on youth in this way. So I think this is really big to do this. We're going to do it in the spring, and really be able to tell the folks in their Interact and Rotaract clubs how much and how important they are to us, and that we support everything that they're doing and helping grow Rotary. So that's the great team.
I have one question, Jonathan. Are we doing the music contest this year?
Yes, sorry, I
okay. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's the third leg of the stool. So we got the essay, speech, and the music contest.
Okay, thank
sorry
you.
for leaving that one out.
No, that's all right.
And those things are great to watch. It's amazing. These teenagers are way beyond what I was at that age, and the ability to speak and to play and to write passionately about subject matter, and to share that, in a public setting, has just been nothing short of amazing. So I'll go more about youth protection. this is very big, and we're all trying to keep Renee out of jail. Just kidding, that won't happen. But the goal is to if she is, it won't be because of the youth protection program. Let's put it like that.
Hey, wait a minute. Dang.
Totally joke, Governor. We know that that's not true, but we want to ensure that each Rotary Club that works with youth has at least one trained certified member who can serve as a reference to the club and be proactively engaged with minors while keeping them safe and maintaining an atmosphere of respect. And so it's really huge. It's the Rotary way. And if we have multiple eyes on the process as we're working with the youth around our district, then we're ensuring that they are totally being taken care of. And we want to do it in a way that's systematic and that everybody's getting the same training, getting the same understanding, and getting the same background checks. And so if something does arise, we can handle it swiftly.
That's what's going to come to us next week.
Yes. Helen,
Okay.
that's correct. And again, we found a way to do it that's fairly painless. It's going to take a little bit of time, but not great deals of time. And I went through and was starting to work on my my portion where we have to go in and fill out your information, and it's like 7 pages, but it's very quickly. It's like just basically an application. Here's my information. Here's somebody that can attest to my my character, and that's really it. So pretty easy peasy. So
If you're trained, oops, I'm sorry.
no, go ahead, Julia, please.
If you're trained once, are you trained forever? Or is that something you need to redo every year?
It's an annual thing.
Okay.
So, because stuff happens, right? And I'll give you a scenario. Years ago, my Rotary Club had a 5K fundraiser. And the first year we were putting it together here in Alexandria, I went out and I was trying to find somebody who was put on these races, right? Who had the knowledge, who had the accoutrements that you need to put on a race, and found a gentleman in the area who did it, and he agreed at the pricing, and we met several times, really almost up until about a month and a half before our event. And just so happened, my neighbor who's in my Rotary Club, former FBI, got a certain list by email, and this guy's name popped up as somebody who was not somebody who should be working with youth, let's put it that way. And so I had to have a special meeting with the guy and let him know we had to terminate the contract for just cause and move on.
Wow.
Yeah. And now this was an outside vendor, but these are the kind of things that I wasn't expecting to happen. And did. And so that's why it's very important, to make sure every year we're going into the year with knowledge that people who are working with our youth are people we want working with them. And rarely we have issues with Rotarians, but anything is possible in this world. And so
Hey, Jonathan, on the training they have to do annually to certify, but the background checks, how often do they have to have those done? That's not every year, is it?
That's a great question. I don't think that's annualized, but I don't want to say, again, this is a little premature because Phil and I are meeting tomorrow to go over the new process. And so it's a little premature, but that information will be in the email that goes out, and you will know what you have to do annually and what you don't.
Awesome.
Email that goes out to whom? I don't get a lot of emails I think I'm supposed to. So I just wondered how I would hear about that.
I just want this moment noted. There is a Rotarian asking for emails.
Love it.
Please write this, Peter. Could you put this in the notes?
So
okay.
We will make sure this gets saturated. It will go hopefully in the newsletter, but it's going to go out to all district governors, all district maybe governors-elect, everybody who's designated in DocDB is working in a youth
Yeah, that's
program.
what I was going to ask, Julie. What is your position in your club, and are you listed as in that position in DACDB?
I think so. I'm the chair of youth services. I am the youth protection officer.
Okay,
So-
I'm gonna look right now. Which club?
Fairfax.
I'm
Sheila, you got
looking.
it?
Yep,
Cool. She'll take a
Check.
look and tell you. And if you're not in there, we can tell you how to do it real easily. And that way you can make sure you don't miss anything. But when we select, we have P-mail. And so when we select to send certain people emails, we'll click youth protection officers or whatever. And if you're not in there correctly, and sometimes you think you are, or sometimes you're listed as interact or whatever, we'll get cleared up. But that way we can make sure you get what exactly
Yeah.
the information you need.
Please check to see how I am listed.
I
I
am.
would appreciate it.
All right.
All right. Well, Sheila does that. Jonathan, you can resume. Sorry. She'll work in the background. Sheila's the DACDB. She's our forensic scientist.
There you go. And so I'm just going to go over briefly each one of the programs we have. So again, first and foremost, this year we have something new called the District 7610 Youth Summit. It's coming up, a date to be determined very soon. Actually, there's some folks, including our governor, getting together to finalize that date, but it will be in the spring, and we will let you know. That information will go out after that decision is made. And this youth summit is, district wide, and it's going to be great because really we're dedicating this entire time to all these amazing young folks who are in all of our programs. So RYLA, Rotary Youth Leadership Awards. This program is Ben, who I mentioned, is taking some of the reins on this, and this is one that we always had in the sort of the in October, late October timeframe, and we found it's gotten cold. And the camp that we were using in Prince Williams County, there was no real heat. This is very rudimentary kind of camps I went to as a kid. I went to like a 2-week sleepover camp. It was you get a barracks, and there's a mess hall, and you do a lot of work outside, of course, because you're in the woods, and it was quite cold. So we're moving this also to the spring. Spring is going to be backloaded with all kinds of fun stuff for our youth, but it's going to be in the spring as well. We're looking at some different venues this year, and generally we have about 50 young people from across the district come. Leadership development has been a key portion of the training they go through while they're together. That will remain. We also realize we're starting to get quite a few interactors. So we are going to have some sessions on Interact operational management. And so why not, if you're there, let's help you run your Interact club efficiently and effectively, because you're going to go back and be that leader in your community. And so there'll be a mix of these kinds of management and leadership training. And it's a really great thing to have, especially at a young age. I teach this for a living to adults who are even a lot older than I am. So to get that in high school you're well ahead of the ball game. So, and this is something that I, as a governor, I went down, and even though I was not a governor, I went down and visited these things, and it's really inspirational to go. And so I recommend, if you have the time at the end, in the last day, to go and hear these folks speak of their experience. It's super, super cool. We have Interact, again, 20 plus clubs. This has been one of I think the district's marquee programs, and this is hard again because teachers move sometimes, and you have the champion you have in the school is no longer the champion, and sometimes some schools have a lot of other programs they run, and they don't understand why this should be a part of the mix. And this takes a lot of work from clubs, but our clubs have been amazingly successful. With this, we're actually getting a club in Alexandria High School, which I tried to do several years ago, and even had at the time, their principal was a former Rotarian from out in Winchester who was hired and loved Rotary. And even between he and I, we could not get it started because they had another 100 clubs on campus. And so it was just trying to find a teacher that had the time commit. But now that's happening, and so I'm really pleased that we were able to get a club in there this year. And so if folks are interested in, please reach out to me, reach out to our Interact chair, and we can make that happen. Rotaract, we're starting to rebuild that back out too. One of our strongest clubs is in University of Mary Washington. And we have a few more around the district. These are harder. How Rotaract works is 18 to 35, pretty flexible on the upper end of that range. And there's two types of clubs. One is a college or university-based club. The other is a community-based club. So you're not attached or affiliated with the academic institution. And it used to be where most of the clubs were school-based clubs or university-based clubs, and now we're seeing that trend kind of change, where there's more community-based clubs and a few less university-based clubs. But this is where I got my Rotary experience at the beginning, and I loved it. And we did a lot of work with the Rotary clubs, because you have a Rotary club sponsoring.
Sheila's got a comment. I think she had
go ahead.
because Rotaract is.
The recording paused.
Oh, did it?
Yep.
Not here. Maybe it did on yours. If your internet was fuzzy, it might have done that. But it to me appears that it's still going.
Yeah, it shows it's recording on mine.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, it just popped up.
Sorry to
and said,
interrupt.
no, it's okay. I'm glad, because we don't want to miss it if we don't want it to stop recording. So thank you. But I will also
Yes.
point out that Rotary considers Rotaract a membership level now. So it's moving away from the youth program. However, we're keeping it involved with the youth, because we're going to ask them to help plan the youth conference. And that's why we need them engaged with our Interact kids.
Yes, thank you. That's a great point, Governor.
Also, Jonathan, they did away with the age limit,
yeah,
the upper age.
Yeah,
Not that
so-
you have to be 18 still, but there's no age limit anymore.
yeah.
I'd heard that, and I don't know how they're going to do that. But yeah,
I mean,
I heard that, and I was like, so it's Rotary.
Yeah.
Districts have the ability themselves to
Right.
set a limit if we want to.
Yeah, and I think once you get in a certain age, you're going to move over to,
Yes.
it's basically a monetary
Right.
issue,
Yeah.
to be able to be a part of Rotary at a lower price point. And so, and that is true. The last couple of years, Rotaract's been elevated and up to the folks are considered part of Rotary. And so, which is where it should be, really. And, there's a lot of philosophies around that. Why is there even a distinct name difference? But, I think that could even evolve over time too, where we might see the name Rotaract just sort of dropped off as a term and as a specific group. But, for all intents and purposes, that, they're a very important bracket within the Rotary family. And yes, they're sort of the transition and support. They're supporting our youth programs, and they're also sort of that conduit to the next step in Rotary as a full-fledged Rotarian. So happy to
Can I make one more comment to Jonathan while we're talking about this? I'm sorry. One thing we did, I wanted them to be completely standalone, but they were just told they're now full-fledged clubs. They weren't given any training, any guidance, or anything from RIs. So the clubs that had originally sponsored them are staying with them for at least a 3-year period until they are comfortable with acting and being a full-fledged club, just so you know.
And thank you, District Governor Sheila. That's a very great point, because, and that's really good to know. I think to me, Rotaract's always been sort of as a former Rotaract, it's transitional, right? You're not going to, especially if you're doing this and it's a college-based club, you're going to be gone in 3 to 4 years anyway, or at some point, possibly if it's a community-based club, you're going to may hang out longer, but you're probably going to make the decision to join a Rotary Club at some point. But so I think there needs to be that tie. My point is, needs to be that tie, whether it's official or unofficial, or formal or informal, with a club or clubs, just so that support's there. And then again, I'm not gonna go over it again, but the speech, essay, and music contest that are extremely important to our youth. Again, this is really cool. What we want to see, and when I try to, I'm imploring to Rotarians in general, is please go out and tell your school districts about this. Tell your parents about this that you know and you work with. We want more people signing up to be a part of these 3 contests. They're important for academic growth and going up there and performing or communicating in front of an audience. These things are things you don't always get in the classroom experience. So being able to do this is important, and we want to grow this. We want more and more young folks in these 3 programs. So please let your schools know, let your parents know, and you'll be Holly will be sending out a lot of information in the weeks to come when that date is set for February, March timeframe is what we're looking at for these contests.
And we are going to promote. Our PI team is ready and excited. This is going to be a big deal. Youth this spring are going to be the stars of the show. We want to finish off the year strong, showing that the youth are our future. That's what we're going to end with. It's a smart thing.
Awesome.
Yeah, well, I'd like to add too, I mean, and these programs, the speech contests, all those transfer very nicely when I say into membership, because while we do it at the district, if a club is smart, when they are getting the initial candidates, because they have to have a competition early to then weed some out and restrict them, at that point in time, they can do, like, for each school, a first, second, and third place, and give some local award, present it at the parent, student, teachers meetings, so the parents see this, and you're getting in, now the parents get to know what Rotary is, and it's not just at the district level that they come up and they get recognized, they're getting recognized down at the club levels and on up.
If you get teachers and parents hearing some child spout off about the 4-way test or creating hope in the world, that's going to make them pay attention. They're going to listen and they're going to go, what is Rotary that they're getting this kid to write this and speak about it? Who are these people? Well, and they might want to join us.
Yeah, well, if they give certificates or something like that, first place, second place, third place too, at the school level, and then the school, whichever person goes higher, I mean, they'll get more publicity, things like that. So, I mean, this really plays into a lot of ways of helping the clubs out too, when clubs are looking for members, things like that.
We had a very good experience with that last year. I ran the essay contest, and we awarded first, second, and third certificates and had the first place come speak to the club. But then that's middle school level, the essay contest is. So we went to the middle school, and they had their quarterly award ceremony for all the other students and added us to the agenda. So I was the only non-teacher who got to speak and present an award, and it was a big fun deal.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you can do it with the parents and stuff out there, that's great.
Share that with the other youth folks in your area, at least in your area. But if you can get contact information from Jonathan, depending on how many people are listed, once they can get that a little more organized, as they start to send this youth protection stuff out, we're going to clean up our list real quick. So once we have that prepared list, if you could send them those ideas as we're approaching music contest time, so people have time to reach out to the schools way ahead of time and say, here's when our contest is. This is when we'll know our winner. Can we come? Do you have an award ceremony? That's brilliant. Really good job.
Actually, it sounds like a great article for the district newsletter.
That sounds like a great article for the district newsletter, Julia. That's a great idea, Sheila. I love it.
Yeah, but and also carry it one step further, get your local newspaper there with the school when the kids are getting their awards, and it gets in the local.
Or write up a little blurb, send a picture to the paper for you, because
Yes,
these
exactly.
days they don't have enough reporters, but they'll report it if you tell them.
Yeah.
The local newspaper in particular, yes.
Absolutely. Thank you, Peter, for bringing that up. I think it is very important. Really, all these programs are feeder programs to membership for Rotary, and I think everything we do should be thinking about that, right? You know, it's a project, yet it's a membership project. It's a youth contest. It's a membership project, right? We should be out there telling our story, and no better way to tell a story when you present a young person with an award and their parents are there. And so talk about, talk about more than what you're there for. If it's, if you're doing your local music contest for the district to find a district candidate, talk about what your club is doing in the community with those parents who show up. And so that's really how you grow Rotary. And Youth Exchange, I won't go over that in detail again, but that's again another program where we have inbound, outbound, and short term, and these are life-changing experiences for young folks. And then
Hey,
lastly,
Jonathan, are we interfacing more with NION? I know we interface directly with Essex, but what about NION for everyone else? It's the North American Youth Exchange Network that Essex falls under.
yeah, it's funny you asked, because we just had a call with somebody from that organization, and we're engaging with them as much as possible this year. Absolutely. Right. So my contact info, feel free to call, email anytime. I am available. Don't feel like you're bugging me. Send me an email. Let me know if you need support, any questions you may have, or maybe you want to send people our way for committees. And you can give me a call at any time. And we'll stop sharing now. And
hey, Jonathan, is that phone number the one you prefer people use?
Yeah, I noticed somebody had my work phone number. So I want to make a formal confession here. You can call me on my work cell, which is the 703-310-0472 number. But guess what? I'm not thinking about Rotarians calling that number. So sometimes I don't always have that phone on me, or I have it turned off. And so it's not that I don't like you. It's just I didn't see you call me, so I want to apologize if it happened to anybody that's on this Zoom meeting right now. I prefer my personal phone because that is what's on me all the time, and I will see that immediately versus having, like, on a Saturday to go look at my work phone to see if a Rotarian called me.
A suggestion for you: you've got your work phone listed. If it's 703 number is your mobile phone, and it's in the DAC DB.
Is that what I have down for my only? Is the 443 number not in there?
No,
yes, it is.
It is.
Yeah,
Yeah, down below home phone is your 443 number.
I have your record.
Your
up,
mobile phone
Jonathan.
is what you're saying is your work phone.
All right, I'm gonna go in there and update that so they confuse people. Now you can call it, and I do have a landline at work as well, which is actually that number is actually good too. So my actual work phone.
Well, what you could probably do is go down at the bottom. There's a preferred phone. Which one you prefer people to call, and put that in the preferred phone.
Yeah. I will fix that immediately.
Because when the 703 number is probably me calling you because you had it up on your mobile, so I was sending you a text and stuff.
This goes to show you even PDGs don't have all of their information correct in DAC TV. I bet if I went and looked, there's something incorrect on my account as well.
It's not incorrect. It's just we need to make sure we have the preferred.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. Like, if my email changes, I'm not thinking about DAC DB until someone says, "Did you change that in DAC DB?" And then I would go, "Probably not." Let me go do that.
Well, the one thing our distinguished governor does, she makes sure to get hold of me on both, because then she's like, he won't have an excuse not to respond to me if I text him on both phones. So she figured it out.
Which one do you want preferred? The 443?
Yes, please. Yeah,
All
that's
right.
Our forensic scientist, our DAC DB specialist, is handling your transition for you, Jonathan.
Oh, Oh,
I'll
God.
do
That's the
anything
kind of
for-
service we provide at District 76.
White glove service from a former governor. That's
Right?
Hey,
Everyone
I
is special here.
became a former governor because this man asked me to put my application in. He was the reason I became a governor. So
His fault.
I
I mean,
will do
it's because
anything
of
for
him.
him. I would do anything for him within reason, Jonathan.
Within reason.
Oh, sure.
But your
qualify
record's
that.
all
All right. Does anybody have any questions? Julia has a comment or question.
One thing you haven't talked about, which has been my favorite thing in Rotary youth related business, is the Global Grant Scholarship Program. And I have been blessed to sponsor 2 students, one just finishing, one just starting, and now I have another candidate coming through the process. And I don't know, maybe we have been blessed with winning one of the 2 scholarships each year more frequently because it's not advertised as part of a youth program. I don't know if all the clubs.
It's not really a youth program. Well, you know what? You make a really, really good point. And Jonathan, that's something we should investigate because right now it's that falls under foundation. It's a foundation purview. It's a foundation program, but 100%. Why are we not working together with the youth and the foundation? Maybe that's happened in the past, but it's just information. Once again, we lost some stuff during COVID and we didn't kind of, re-engage the same way. And so we're kind of feeling our way for what works now. But if that's something that hasn't been done in the past, it makes a whole lot of sense that we would work on that going forward. We've got our global scholarship, isn't our global scholarship representative a dean at UVA
Yeah.
who works with Rotaract? Okay.
Yeah. He's in the
Even
McIntyre school. I was an
There's
alumni
our
of that school.
connection. Yeah.
Yeah. And
All
Ted
right, well
Hassar,
then-
the former chairman, was really, 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 really good. So
Well, okay, then Julia, I'm going to put you on the spot and ask you, is that something that you would be willing to champion, fostering that relationship, like just starting that conversation about how do we introduce the youth and that piece? How do we connect the two? And maybe then just kind of come up with an idea to give to the youth and the foundation committees. I'm not asking you to run it. I'm just asking you to flesh out some ideas or talk to some people that you know. You sound like you know what you're talking about.
yeah, maybe. Let me give you a
Okay.
maybe.
Think about it. Think about
Okay.
it. Seriously. You sound like you have some knowledge and some connections. And if you
I
have
just
some
have a
ideas,
passion. I just
yeah,
love it.
that's all it takes. If you can come up with some ideas to present to the foundation and the youth folks to say, hey, here's a way that you guys can work it out or whatever. I think that'd be a great, just to spark the conversation. And then if you want to stay involved, you're welcome to, but you're not expected to. I just think someone on the ground with your kind of broad stroke idea, you might be able to provide a little bit of something, a little flair to the picture.
She says that now, Julia, just once
I
she's
am-
got her fingers in you, right, Jonathan?
Here's the public service announcement. Be careful when you ask questions.
Noted.
Around
Noted too
Renee.
late.
Around
But
Renee,
noted.
around the governor.
Notice who's been nice and quiet, Helen. She knows how we act. She knows
Someone
how we
texted her.
react.
Someone texted her ahead of time. No, honestly, again, I would just like to hear your ideas. If you have, a way that we could do that, I think that would be fantastic, and it makes sense. It makes
Yeah,
sense.
well, I would make sure we tie in youth. I would not make it a youth program because
No. I just
because
want a way
the-
for them to cross,
No, no,
communicate,
absolutely,
advertise.
Absolutely.
but
Right.
you
Yeah.
find something on the global scholarship people. We get some straight out of college, but we also get several that apply. They've been in the workforce
Mhm.
for a couple of years from that experience, kind of like the Peace Scholars. Those they actually require you've worked for a while. Ours we don't.
Right.
But that's why I don't want to. I want to be careful that we are inclusive of both sides.
Both types of applicants. Yeah. Cool.
Understood.
All right. So any other questions or comments? Or Jonathan, did you have anything else to say after that presentation piece?
No, ma'am. I am done.
Do you have any place you need help in particular?
It's a great question. So the two biggest things I'll reiterate again, we love to have more committee members, but at the very least, the two things that we need is making sure that you're communicating to your club the importance to go through the background checks and the certifications for being a youth officer or even working with youth from your club. And the second piece is really letting folks know in your area about these great contests and youth programs. We want the schools to embrace it. We want the parents to embrace it. So please, the more people who are out there talking about it, the better results we're gonna have.
Right. And I'd like to sit down with you when I'm going to be gone for a few days out to Rehoboth, but I'll be back in the middle of next week and go through the whole youth program with you for the budget and everything, and then get a little more information on the summit so I can start piecing that together for you. Okay.
Wonderful.
All right, well, if nobody has anything else, I don't feel the need, once we've exchanged all the information necessary, I don't feel any need to keep you guys here any longer than you have to be. So I would go ahead and say we're good. If you guys don't have any further questions, this will be a great resource for the youth protection and other youth folks in our clubs. So we'll get this recording onto YouTube and make it available through the website and everything else, and we'll send it out so that other people can just take a look. This will help get their mind wrapped around what we're doing and kind of what to expect. So
Right.
Jonathan, thanks for putting that together so succinctly, get everybody informed. And I appreciate you guys for being here so that you can contribute to the conversation and make it more interesting when people watch the recording. So it's not just us talking to each other. So thanks for being here. We appreciate your time.
It was valuable. Thank you very much.
Yes,
Awesome,
it really was.
awesome.
Good
Good
job, Jonathan. Thank you.
Yeah, good job. Thank you. I'm so happy. All right. Well, you guys have an incredible evening. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you. There's a foundation summit coming up on September 30th. So if you guys can come, we can all hang out in person. So you can register for all those kinds of things on the DACDB calendar. So go take a look if you want to come hang out with us. All right.
Absolutely.
Good
Thanks.
night.
Okay, thanks,
Good
guys.
night.
Have a great night.